Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back here with the future once again. And today I have a showcase and review over a lot of retro. Well, most of them are retro. There's one from 2010. That makes it 9 years, going on 10 years old now. So I'm going to call this a retro wrestling action figure lot that I'm going to check out here. Most of them are from ranging from 97 to 1999. I bought them off a friend, and I'm a big action figure fan, wrestling action figure fan, so I figured I would show off the lot here just like I did the Star Wars action figure lot that I bought off my friend Picker Randy not too long back. But I've really been enjoying lately the Major Wrestling Figure podcast too, and that's got me back into trying to collect a lot of figures from my past that I had or that I didn't have that I wish I would have had at least a few of. And I want at least one of every wrestling action figure representation in my collection, a representation of every wrestling figure action figure ever made. I have some LJNs. I have all my Hasbros from when I was a kid, my Galoobs. I need to do showcase and reviews updated on those. I think a couple of them have been muted and stuff like that. So I definitely want to do updated showcase and reviews, like a retro showcase and review for my retro showcase and review zone that I have up now, or corner, or whatever I have it called on my playlist. But yeah, I plan on doing that. But I want to take a look at a lot of these figures. I never had any of these figures actually growing up that I'm going to show here. I was really into the Hasbros when I was a kid, and then when my brother came along, I started collecting the Jakks Bone Cruncher figures in the 6-inch line of figures that they made managers and everything that didn't have the bone crunching action as well, but I put them all in the Bone Crunchers line. And then the Titantron Live figures came along, didn't collect those. I had a few of the WCW Toy Biz too. It was funny because I was in high school at the time, and I kind of justified my collecting by buying figures for my brother and saying they were for him, and then I would play with them. Set up, I had my own Titantron that I made out of cardboard and stuff, but when the Titantron Live figures came along, we stopped collecting. I think a lot of collectors did too, because I have multiple friends that also said the same thing, that when they started the Titantron Live figures, from the BCA line, the bone crunching action figures, that they stopped collecting the WWF line. But I have friends. I actually have a lot of Toy Biz WCW coming as well, that I will be doing a showcase and review on from my friend C-Dub, that I did a trade on lately. So that'll be cool to update that. But I want to thank everybody who subscribed lately, dropped any comments, left any feedback. I really appreciate all the support here on my channel. I'm trying to do more vids than I did last month, but I've had not a lot of time on my hands with my job. It's always bouncing me back and forth on hours and stuff, so I'm trying to get them in when I can, but I appreciate the support whenever I get them up. And now let's check out this ECW, WCW, WWF, and WWE wrestling action figure lot. I'm calling it retro because the only one that I have here is a 2010 Kane, and I didn't actually get this in this lot. I actually got this from another guy. He just actually gave this to me that he found of his sons, and that's not even really part of this lot. So yeah, a wrestling action figure lot. Let's check it out, guys. Okay, so here in front of us, we have the actual lot that I bought off of my friend, Jared, close friend of mine, one of my best friends since high school. I'll be 37 years old. We've been friends since I've been 15 years old. Pretty much we're inseparable at one point. I consider him my best friend. And yeah, he sold these to me. He found them, I think, I don't know. I can't remember exactly where he found these at. Auction or something he got them. But yeah, he thought I'd be interested in them, and he gave me a good price on the lot, and I picked them up. And then another friend of mine gave me this cane. Actually gave me this for free, so I thought I'd throw it in for this review. This is actually the only one that's not ranging from 97 to 99. This one's from 2010. It's a Mattel cane. I didn't have any loose Mattels. I have on-card Mattels. But yeah, we're not really going to get into anything new or anything that I have already, other than these back here, kind of for comparisons. These are a couple bone crunching action figures that I had from back in the day. Actually, not from back in the day. Let me correct myself. I actually picked these up about 10 years back on eBay. I guess you want to say back in the day, but they weren't from like my childhood collection. I wanted to clear that up. It's funny because, they were part of the bone crunching action figure line, and they even had, the bone crunching action arms and stuff, but never had the actions on the inside. They started doing this later on, but they're still part of the 6-inch action figure line that started with the bone crunching action figures. I have an on-card Slammers figure that I've actually showed these Steve Austin figures off in the past. I did a showcase and review on these. I might put the I'll put that up in the suggested box to the right. I'll try to go back and find that video and put it up in the box to the right. But it's just a little look at what the card backs looked like. I actually got one bone cruncher in this line. There's that monster ring that actually started out as the LJN ring and was just refurbished by Jakks into the monster ring for the Jakks figures. It was way too big. You had to like drop the bottom rope down and then put the top rope on the middle rope. It was kind of weird to play with it. And there's the old bone crunching action that apparently this Slammers figure had. When I bought the Shotgun Saturday Night Austin there, I thought it was going to be a bone cruncher, but it didn't have the action when I take it out. So there's old Jakks Pacific, who held the line for quite a while. And then I have this Ripped and Ruthless Austin that we might as well just start out talking about. This is mint and package that I've had for like 10 years. Like I said, I bought it off eBay about 10 years back. I said back in the day earlier, but not when I was like actively collecting these. I got it later on. Big Austin fan. At the time, I was trying to get a lot of Austin figures and Austin merchandise. Kind of toned down on it. I still get Austin stuff from time to time, but I got a lot of Stone Cold stuff. But these came, you can see, an official biography card. Like I said, I showed this off in the past, but the reason I'm showing this off, and you can see it's 1997 there, is because in this lot, you can see on the back here, and my friend was just telling me how he had this Andre here from the Legends series, which was basically a Legends Ripped and Ruthless line, but this is the Ripped and Ruthless line down here. It was Gold Dust, the Austin I have here, Mankind, and Undertaker. And obviously they did some kind of signature series, unless all of his had signature on it, because I have the Ripped and Ruthless Taker here now, loose, in this slot. Let me put this package to the side here, and you can see it is the exact same figure there, depicted on the back of the box there, but only he has a signature here. So pretty cool. And this was released around the time the Bone Crunchers were. They did a lot of sub-genres, but the three big genres from Jakks were the Bone Crunchers, then the Titantron Live, and then the not Ripped and Ruthless, but the Ruthless Aggression line. This is Ripped and Ruthless here. This was just a sub-genre that they made of figures when the Bone Crunchers were popular, but still very cool, like exaggerated. Obviously, Ripped and Ruthless was the tagline. You can see the tattoos there. They did good detailing. Detailing in the face was pretty good, before the real scan technology took over and everything like that. Jakks was not always great for details on the face, and the faces were kind of funny on the Jakks figs you'll see here. But this one was pretty good. So we'll put him back here next to the Austin that I already had. See if you can get him even to stand up on his own. It's kind of hard with that arm. But there we go. We got him next to the Austin that I already had. Here's another part of the 6-inch line, and it looks like a bone cruncher. Look, it even has the arms set for the device, but it doesn't have the actual bone crunching action. So it's just funny that they started doing that. But still considered one of the bone crunching action figure 6-inch line before they started doing the Titantrons. And look at the face here on Road Dogg Jesse James, one half of the New Age Outlaws, and this funny DX shirt that I don't ever remember him wearing, but it's cool because they gave him the tattoos, and I always thought the detailing that Jakks did was cool. Really loved the playability of these old figs. He's really loose too. But he has his classic tights that he wore there, and his New Age Outlaws run. He always had those style of tights on there initially. Changed them up after a while, but those were like the initial New Age Outlaws tights that he wore. The bandana. They used this head sculpt forever for Road Dogg. Actually, as a kid, I had the one with the white shirt and the actual Degeneration X logo there, and the black tights or pants. I never had this one as a kid, but now I do, and it's cool to have him to go into my Jakks collection there. The only two loose Bone Crunchers I have. My brother actually has the rest of the Bone Crunching action figures that we collected as kids. He kind of confiscated them since, I did buy them for him. Technically, they are his, so whatever. Let's take a look as we are in WWF mode right now. These are the Titantron live figures that came after the Bone Crunchers, and this is the Vince McMahon that came with the actual Titantron playset. So I'm very happy to pick this one up, and you can see they kind of tried to step up the articulation. These were completely plastic. They didn't have the rubber arms like on the Bone Crunching Action 6-inch line there. More articulation. The elbows had joints up and down, and the shoulders, not the elbows, but the shoulders had up and down joints there. I think they're, the swivel, rotate, well, they didn't rotate 360, but they did swivel there. There's actually a microphone that came with Vince too that I, didn't get in this lot, but just having the figure itself, and you can see both hands, had the articulation there. That you could rotate it. So there you go. And then of course the heads were just solid. You could not, even though they looked like you could rotate them, they did not. But they stepped up the leg articulation with the knee joints, which I remember on the 6-inch Shawn Michaels figure and the JR figure, they already did that hinge joint, so they were experimenting with that already in the 6-inch line. These Titantron live figures, so unnecessary, and kind of killed off Jakks for a while in popularity. Like I said, a lot of my friends stopped collecting around this time. You can see 1999 Jakks. I don't know how good it's going to show up. It's hard for me to even see in real life, Jakks Pacific 1999. But there is where it plugged in on the Titantron, and you could, insert these guys, and it would start playing their entrance theme, basically. And if you listen to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, the beginning of the podcast, the now entering the Titantron, that comes from the Titantron line. Titantron line, Titantron live playset. But this Vince, the face, not great at all, in my opinion, for the CEO. But we'll put him over here. And next we're going to check out, and I don't know exactly what waves these were in. I'm thinking these are all Mark 99, and these are hard to get to stand up. So old Vince having trouble getting, I'm having trouble getting Vince to stand up because they have that stupid Titantron thing on the bottom. Basically, in my opinion, is why. Because it kind of sticks out a little bit. Look at that. So it kind of messes up, the posability. This Big Show actually is a pretty good face sculpt, actually, compared to like the next two that I have of Edge and Billy Gunn that I got from this lot. But you can see he has all the articulation, same that Vince had in the arms. Actually, his same articulation. His wrists are actually rotating 360, so I don't know if Vince's are just stuck or they just didn't rotate 360. But he's got a fist there. I actually like this Big Show. There you see the hinge joints there. Articulation, of course, the legs did not extend very far on this Big Show at all. I don't think any of the Titantron live figures actually had their legs. They could only extend to a certain point. That kind of sucked. For like leg drops and stuff, you couldn't even leg drop really with this guy because he had no articulation at the waist or the leg. And then you look at a Bone Cruncher, and he easily could, sit out for like a leg drop or a stunner or whatever. So that was a big mess up. Whoever thought these were good figures and a good idea really messed up. If they would have just made a Titantron live playset for the actual Bone Crunchers and did it a different way instead of having to put this, technology into the leg that they thought they were being, technology savvy, I think it would have done a lot better. We'll put Big Show over there by Undertaker. Actually, Paul White. I don't know if they called him Paul White or Big Show on that figure. Here is the horrible Edge that looks more like, you know, Mick Jagger, or I don't know. It's funny. But a horrible face sculpt. These plastic arms were so cheap on these two. I almost like the rubber better from the Bone Crunchers. And of course, I forgot to mention that they actually added a little articulation here, a little movement at the feet. But man, it's not much. So that was the first time they tried to do, you know, like joints at the feet there. I don't believe... Yeah, they do have... It does a little better on Big Show there. You can see. But the Edge, yeah. So much for his articulation on the feet there. Because it's not doing much there. This Edge is just so cheap. Not a big fan of the figure, but cool to have some of the Titantron Live figures nonetheless. We'll put them over there next to show. And then the most hilarious head sculpt of the whole lot, in my opinion. I don't know, him and Hogan. But look at that head sculpt of badass Billy Gunn. And I don't know if this is when he was Mr. Ass or what. But they didn't get the Alpine Star boots down right, in my opinion, either. He wore Alpine Stars. Even the Bone Cruncher had the Alpine Stars on. He has laces up the front there. Just don't remind me of his actual boots. Of course, the articulation at the wrist and the shoulder. And look, they tried to make him all jacked out and veiny. But just, if you could just feel how flimsy these hands are and how cheap they feel. I don't know. Horrible decision by Jakks Pacific to make these Titantron Lives, but they were a part of wrestling figure history. Of course, I don't have the playset. We'll put him over there by Vince, if I can even get him to stand up. And yeah, the posability on those guys are not the greatest. I mean, the display ability, if you hit this just a little bit, this table, I think he'd go falling over. But so far, pretty good lot. And now, I've already showed off that Mattel cane. You can see Mattel, you know, they make the best wrestling figures probably that, you know, have ever been made as far as looks and articulation and playability and everything. You can see even the legs on these guys, you know, they bend out totally so you can do a sit-out leg drop, not like the Titantron Live figures. Of course, the articulation is a lot like the, you know, Titantron Live, as they have the hinged knees and the articulated ankles there. Of course, the wrist rotate, and that all started kind of with the Titantron too. And then the hinged shoulders, and actually elbows articulation now, and also like a swivel here, even at the bicep that they have added. So Mattel, you know, this is from a 2010 Mattel representation too, so they have upped it in the 9 years since, and I think Mattel does make the best wrestling action figures that have ever been made as far as looks. But playability, I still love my old Hasbros, and you know, I just love the old school style. So, but cool to have this cane, and we got to put him over there next to his brother of destruction, Undertaker. But next we have the WCW and ECW pickups that I made from this lot. The first one is the 1999 Grip and Flip Toy Biz Buff Bagwell here. And yeah, he came in a 2-pack, I believe. I can't actually remember the actual 2-pack that he came in now. I looked it up, but I can't remember the figure. Maybe DDP. But these came in 2-packs. Pretty scuffed up on the head. The face sculpt is funny on this, but you know, it's a good depiction of Buff. They put the tattoo on him. This is some of the early Toy Biz efforts here. You can see like this mechanism here on the back doesn't do anything, but it's just there. But you can squeeze the legs together and the arms go up. So the old Grip and Flip Buff, head rotated 360. leg. One of them had a normal, articulated leg, and the other was the action feature, so you couldn't really do too much with it, although it was articulated. So you could do pretty much, I guess it was good range. And the tights looked good on these too, the paint apps. But really crappy figures with that grip and flip action with the magnetic hands there that could clip onto another figure and grip and flip them around. Go check out the commercial. You'll see what I'm talking about. But grip and flip buff from '99. Pretty cool there. Toy Biz, who took over the WCW license from the original San Francisco toy makers in the late 90s. And here's one of the best lines that they did. This is the start of the really good WCW figures that I'm going to be picking up a big lot for my friend C-Dub on. And ironically, Hogan does not come in that lot, so it's cool to have him because there's a lot of members of the NWO in that lot. So the display will be sweet having Hogan now. Hogan came in the first wave, and that was the Smash and Slam from '99 by Toy Biz. And Toy Biz had some bad figures before they started this wave. Original San Francisco toy makers had some pretty bad efforts too. But yeah, I love these Toy Biz '99 figures and beyond that they started doing. This collection was good. We had the Macho Man and the Big Show, or the Giant, I believe, my brother has, so I could always add them to the collection if he ever would give it up, but I don't think he is. A little bit of a wear on the bandana there, and the face is kind of funny here, but he does has a painted-in beard, and that's Hollywood Hogan. So it's always awesome to have, a Hogan figure of any sorts, but that's one that I never had as a kid as well. So Too Sweet, NWO era, Hollywood Hogan, and Buff Bagwell there, and Buff in his NWO attire too, so two members of the NWO there that I could display. And next, they did a following wave called the Bruisers, and this was from '99 as well by Toy Biz. They added some, more mid-card characters, undercard characters, and this was the Trash Can Attack Bruisers Raven. And you can see here, he had two trash cans and he squeezed his legs together. These WCW ones all had these action features in them. The Hogan's is kind of broke, so I couldn't really demonstrate it, but you could see it was like a punch with the right arm. But what they didn't do in the Smash and Slam series, they gave these knee articulation. And they already had the ankle articulation and the wave with the Hollywood Hogan, but the knee articulation was a good addition, in my opinion. And since Toy Biz was bought out by Marvel, they were able to do a deal here where they could put a Daredevil shirt on Raven, because Raven always had a shirt with something on, but he had his necklace, his signature green knee pads, the jean shorts, faded out, black boots. Really good likeness of Raven for the time in '99. So a cool Raven figure. I really like this one. And this does not come in the lot either. I'm picking up off C-Dub for trade. So it's cool to have this one as well. The accessories are not that big of a deal for me. There's actually a title coming with Goldberg from that lot too, which would look cool on Hogan as well. I actually need a title that I could Sharpie NWO on. But this Raven, pretty cool. Big improvement over the first one that they did. But the next one is the last figure I'm going to show, and this is the original San Francisco toy makers making a comeback with the ECW line, and that is the Dudley Boys Devon Dudley here. And really cool to have one of the original San Francisco toy makers ECW figures from 1999. Original San Francisco toy makers did a line of the WCW figures as well. They actually did the first Raven figure, and you could see remnants of those figures in the ECW line, but the ECW was a great update to that line. And he had the feature where you could swivel back and forth, you know, with your thumb here on the back. They all had some kind of action feature as well. So, really cool. Articulation at the knees on these. They didn't give them any ankle articulation, but the knees have articulation. This was a great line. I didn't have any of these as a kid either, but I always wanted some, and I really want to try to get more of these, like the Sabu. I definitely got to get Bubba Ray now, Bubba Ray Dudley, because I have Devon here, but he has his classic tie-dyed Dudley Boys look. Later on they changed it up in WWF to the camo, so it's really cool to have him depicted in his classic ECW attire from the classic ECW, original San Francisco Toy Makers 1999 line that they did. But that will do it for this retro wrestling action figure lot here. I'll put him over there next to Raven. Raven actually an ECW, you know, originally and former ECW champion before his WCW run, so he goes well alongside Devon there. But yeah, really cool look here at the lot that I picked up of wrestling action figures here, retro from various years and waves. And yeah, mostly ranging from 97 up to 2010 on the Kane. But I'm not really counting him on the lot. So yeah, I really hope everybody liked checking this out as much as I did, picking it up and checking it out here with you guys. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you like what you see. Drop a comment down below. Give me a like if you like it. And yeah, make sure you hit that notification bell and be notified of all my future videos, no pun intended. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching as always, and keep collecting, and peace out.